This is ABC7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
I think one of the things that's very important to understand when you're talking about building an innovative culture and really talking to students and saying, how do you maintain, how do you keep them here? I think a lot of times we try to manufacture that conversation, and a lot of times I think the other side isn't heard.
Giving a voice to our young professionals. Suncoast agencies are working on different ways to retain them here and attract more recent graduates. But is there a better way to meet their needs and make the community a place they want to call home? Good evening, everyone. I'm Alan Cohen, and welcome to ABC 7 at 7. We'll have more on what's being done to keep millennials on the Suncoast. But first, our top 7 stories at 7. And we begin here on the Suncoast, where agencies on the front lines of combating the opioid epidemic are reacting to new sentencing guidelines for the synthetic drug fentanyl. Last night, Governor Rick Scott signed a bill creating mandatory minimum sentences for possession and trafficking of the drug, which is 100 times more potent than morphine. The drug has been linked to a spike in overdoses in Manatee County. Under the bill, if someone overdoses on fentanyl, the dealer can be charged with murder. The sheriff's office is calling the law a game changer.
I think the dealers knew about the law. They're not dumb. And I think that the change here basically will help, because I think now they're going to think twice.
The law is not retroactive and will not affect past cases. New developments on the controversial education bill. Today, Governor Scott is signing into law despite calls from school districts and administrators to veto it. The measure steals more money to private-run charter schools. Education leaders say it will hurt public schools by funneling local tax dollars to charters. Scott says he supports it because it increases school choice. The law also makes recess mandatory for elementary school students and makes changes to state standardized testing. There's also a provision adding $30 million to services geared towards disabled students. A reading program is showing results at a Sarasota elementary school struggling to get students to perform at grade level. FSA results show in less than a year, proficiency scores at Emma E. Booker jumped a percentage point for third graders and 8 percentage points for fifth graders. The SRA reading program was paid for by a $5,000 donation from board member Eric Robinson. In November, Robinson promised to give his $40,000 salary back to the district and says the school asked for help and he listened.
You need to listen to the teachers. At the end of the day, they're the ones who are in the classroom with the students, and they have the most intimate knowledge about what's going to work in their classroom.
The district is now committing $100,000 to keep the program going at Emma E. Booker until next spring. Now the Lakewood Ranch, where there's an offer from a land management company to add more than 150 acres to the premier sports campus at no cost. What's the catch? The campus attracting 200,000 visitors annually. Schroeder Manatee Ranch is offering to turn over the land in exchange, the county paying off the $5.2 million construction cost. County commissioners say they plan to pursue the offer and could use the impact fees to cover the costs. As for the plan for the new land, Schroeder Manatee Ranch is suggesting an aquatic center and more recreational facilities. A new scorecard by AARP is ranking Florida 46th in the country when it comes to home health care options for seniors. According to the report, too many seniors are being pushed into nursing homes rather than staying in their own home or going to an assisted living facility. The major problem, a lack of funding. AARP says the state would have to add nearly $2 billion in the budget for senior care to catch up with the states in the top 5 of the ranking. For some people nearing retirement age, figuring out how to cover health care costs is a major concern.
I'm 61. I'm going to be 62. So it's starting to worry me. How am I going to afford care if I need it?
Staying in a nursing home can cost around $10,000 a month, whereas assisted living with nurses costs around $3,000. Steady rainfall continues to decrease the risk of wildfires across the state and on the Suncoast, but today even more burn bans are being lifted. Sarasota County is ending its ban, which has been in place since April. Although it's lifted, people are urged to use caution when dealing with fire. The cities of Northport and Venice are also lifting burn bans. Manatee County lifted theirs last week. A burn ban does remain in effect in Charlotte County. All politics is local. Repercussions to the U.S. pulling out from the Paris Climate Accords being felt in the city of Venice. In a 4-3 vote, the city council deciding to join the mayor's National Climate Action Agenda, which commits cities to follow the principles laid out in the Paris Climate Agreement. Venice's mayor is facing pushback from local Republicans who question the need to join the agreement. But Mayor John Hollick says Venice recognizes and is concerned about climate change. And Bob, we see the effects in terms of sea level rise, although it's always debated.
Yes, it is, and there's no debate about it. We've had a lot of rainfall recently here along the Suncoast. You mentioned Charlotte County still in that burn ban. It will be gone by next week, I can guarantee you that, as a result of a lot of tropical air moving in, and the rainfall deficit has been made up already, and the drought index is now almost gone as far as any kind of drought is concerned here along the Suncoast. We'll show you that graphic a little bit later in this newscast. Casey Key webcam showing the skies were partly cloudy throughout most of the day on the beaches. And then you'll notice the flow from the Gulf on into the coastline there, which is a little unusual. We had a little bit of an outflow boundary moving on in and causing some showers to develop right there to the west of Siesta Key. You can see that. Not very intense. The strongest cell by far up into Hillsborough County and into Pinellas County. There's that one lone shower right there heading towards Siesta Key. You can expect a few brief showers there in Siesta Key in the next half hour or so as it makes its way off to the east. There's a chance it could hold on there and make it all the way to the Key. And elsewhere, some light rain near Englewood and Northport. Still a little bit of rain around, a lot of clouds. And then to the north, just there by the mouth of the river, we are seeing a few showers there. Big storm as some outflow boundaries kind of met right there in Pinellas County and into Hillsborough County near MacDill Air Force Base. You speak of rain, there's Port Charlotte. Down in Charlotte County, up to 2.5 inches of rainfall there just today alone. And most of the activity, though, east of I-75. Currently, we have some clouds around 79 degrees, and the dew point is at 70. Winds out of the east-southeast at 9, and the pressure at 30.02 inches. We're going to talk about the drought. We're going to talk about the tropics, too. Next week, we could be talking about a tropical storm in the Gulf of Mexico. More on that coming up in a few minutes.
How quickly those drought conditions change.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks is amazing. All
right, thanks a lot, Bob. And still to come, should we stay or should we go? It's the question graduates from across colleges around the Suncoast are asking themselves. We'll show you what local organizations are doing to make our area a place young professionals want to call home.
Are you a food lover, restaurant goer, or home cook? Then check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, and helpful step-by-step videos. And you'll love the restaurant guide with direct links to your favorite Suncoast eateries. Whether you're cooking in or dining out, whet your appetite with tasty tips from Chef Judy at mysuncoast.com/dining.
It's Lincoln's summer sales event here at Alex Karras Lincoln. Drive a brand new 2017 Lincoln MKC Sports Utility for $249 per month or 2017 MKZ for $299 per month. We are proud to introduce the newest addition to the Lincoln lineup, the all-new 2017 Lincoln Continental. We have a great selection and ready for immediate delivery. Alex Karras Lincoln, affordable luxury, winner of the prestigious 2015 President's Award, serving Florida's Suncoast since 1978. We are located 2 miles north of the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport on US 41.
The official salon of ABC7. Cutting loose salon.
I dropped it on the floor, and he stepped on it.
No matter how you broke your smartphone, there's only one smart way to fix it. Batteries plus bulbs. Schedule your repair at batteriesplus.com.
Outdoor living is one of the greatest perks about living in Florida. So whether this is your style, or this, or maybe this, contact Superior Pools. They've been building pools from Sarasota to Naples since 2001, and they would love to build yours.
The color in my garden, keeps the pink in my cheeks. I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels. They're my savior. My name is Lola Silvestri. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
ABC7, your official Florida lottery station for the Suncoast.
Parents, have you made it through graduation season? Graduates, are you still here? Thousands of recent grads are now searching for jobs and deciding where they will start their careers, here or elsewhere. Tonight we are looking at why. Jess Dowdrick is joining us with more. Jess.
Alan, business owners feel that over the last 20 years, the Suncoast has made massive changes, now offering more opportunities than ever for recent graduates. There are startups forming and other companies are starting to grow, but there's still a long way to go. The Suncoast has the whole quality of life thing covered. A recent survey reported that residents in Sarasota, Bradenton, and surrounding areas have one of the highest levels of happiness in the country.
Sarasota punches above its weight in a lot of ways, whether it be from our arts and culture to our environmental amenities, whether it be beaches or kayaking or birding.
So if it's not the culture that's keeping recent graduates away, then what is it?
A lot of the graduates here are looking to really kind of spread their wings and do some really amazing things. So it's really kind of our job to create a place that not only is great to live, but is also a great place to work.
According to U.S. Census data, only about 10% of Sarasota residents are between the ages of 18 and 29. Manatee County sits at about 12%. While the Suncoast is home to some of the state's top school systems, the problem is a lack of training for the jobs that actually exist here.
What we see is a real skills gap issue sometimes that of the jobs that do exist versus what people are trained to do. So how do we get those workers that are looking for work from here, where they do not have the skills that are necessary for the jobs that exist, to there, where they have the skills that match up with the opportunities that exist?
The Ringling College of Art and Design is a perfect example.
Within the Sarasota-Bradenton area, there really aren't many computer animation companies. We do have, for example, BioLucid's recently been acquired, and he has hired both illustrators, animators, and game art and designers for internships as well as full-time jobs. But that's only one that comes to mind.
Of 250 recent graduates of the Ringling College of Art and Design, the college expects only 5 to 7% of them to stay on the Suncoast. Another 10% may stay in Florida, but the rest will leave.
I think there's a wide array of industries that we have here in Sarasota. People have no idea the number of manufacturing companies that we have, high-tech industries, but we don't always see those industries out in the open.
When a Ringling College of Art and Design student searches the school's internal jobs database, they'll find that there are 176 art industry positions open within 25 miles of campus. To help these students find opportunities locally, the college started a collaboratory program with local businesses. In the last 4 years, 400 students have taken advantage of it.
For example, I'll mention the police department. They had a contract, they paid for the service, where how do they rebrand themselves? And they came up with Blue and You. So in other words, the collaboratory allows students to work on these accounts, if you will. They get the experience. They get a small, if you will, scholarship, and they see that, wow, these students really can do things for me.
Richard Swire Jr. created the Hub in 2009. It's a collaborative workspace where people can come and be creative. There are more than 80 entrepreneurs who have started their own businesses there.
There's a lot of students out there that probably have no idea that we have this amazing incubator right here downtown Sarasota. It's not really about growth or really about going crazy with trying to get big companies to move here. I really believe the future should be more focused on how do we take the great assets that we have and how do we bring entrepreneurship back into our culture and DNA and really go from there.
Just one entrepreneur could dramatically change things on the Suncoast.
I think the biggest part is including young people in the conversation. The more that we can get young people engaged in what's happening locally, all of the things that we're talking about in our local government and in our civic space, those are things that are going to affect us 5, 10, 20 years from now.
These people are the future of this community, and we will only go as far as those young professionals will take us.
While a majority of recent graduates don't stay on the Suncoast immediately, the trend is that many of them will come back. The Chamber of Commerce says it's important to dispel the perception that young professionals are leaving the area.
Jess, thank you. And when we return, we'll speak with a leader from the Young Professionals Group, a young entrepreneur and a journalist giving a voice to local millennials. In a moment, we are taking it to the Trapezoid.
Are you Goodwill?
Yes, because when I donate or shop at Goodwill,
I am creating a job.
I am Goodwill, yeah.
Save big during the summer leather clearance and pay no interest till June 2018 with same-day pickup or next-day delivery. This special purchase deep-seating leather match sofa now $5.99. It's like floating on a cloud with this leather match sofa at $6.99. Or put your feet up in style with comfort in this dual reclining leather match sofa only $7.99. Exclusively at the Furniture Warehouse in Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, Port Charlotte, and Ellenton.
And save big. Northland Outdoors is about so much more than the biggest fish or the hottest hunting spots. All across the Northland, there are amazing people with incredible stories to tell. We're going to find those stories and share them with everyone. Join us each and every week as we explore the Northland and experience some of the most exciting outdoor adventures in the country right here in our own backyard. This is Northland Outdoors.
Attention, Americans eligible for Medicare. Are you getting all the benefits you're entitled to? Did you know there may be money available to lower your medical prescription costs? Call Health Markets and we'll tell you if you qualify.
Hi, I'm Dr. Martin Jeetsi. It's a new Medicare year. That means more changes and more confusion. The key question is, what can you do now to ensure you get the care you need in the coming year?
Call Health Markets today. You may qualify to save money on prescriptions. We'll help you find plans that may cost less, cover more, and could even lower your prescription costs to increase your savings. We help you find all the benefits you're entitled to, and we do it at no cost.
Make sure you have what you need to get the care that's right for you.
Find out if you qualify to receive extra help with your prescriptions. Call the number on the screen now. Representatives are standing by.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News.
How your partner could be making your sleep worse. Details in the next Health Smart.
Tomorrow at 5 on ABC7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Welcome back. Remember the song by The Clash, Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? Well, according to one survey by the personal finance website moneyrates.com, the Sarasota Manatee region topped Florida's best cities for young people to start their own businesses. The website cites the business tax environment and population growth rates. On the other hand, you might have seen Sarasota Magazine's great article, Why Millennials Struggle in Sarasota, which details issues like the cost of housing and the dearth of high-tech jobs and opportunities and less than vibrant social scene. And joining us for more on this subject is Lucas Calavaccio, who is the owner and executive producer at the Hub Studios. Jamie Minton is chair of the government issues for the Young Professionals Group and director of K-8 initiatives at Girls Inc. And Raymond Tirado is chief disruption officer at the online publication Sarasota Underground. Folks, thank you so much for joining us. And I'm kind of caught by the, on one hand and the other, that our area is ranked as the best place for young people to start a new job, but on the other hand, issues in terms of the cost of living is affecting our housing so much. I mean, are you all seeing the same thing?
Overwhelmingly.
Explain.
So every time we've ever done a survey in any of the groups I've ever been involved in, that cost of living comes up as like the biggest issue. It's not an insurmountable issue, but it's a multifaceted issue, and so it just presents itself in a lot of different ways to the people here who are trying to find places to live, and then that compounds the job situation, you know, so one leads into the next.
Right, and also, I mean, we live in a resort community, right? So we're struggling with that part of it as well. You know, you've got people who want to come here and visit here, and it's more lucrative for people to rent out their apartments on a short-term basis, or they're seeing that people that come down for the season, and they can get really good money out of that. So I think that's one of the challenges too, but we are seeing all sorts of development happening, and we've got all these new apartments coming online downtown. Suddenly there'll be this influx of new residential
but none of them
opportunities. Well, but
I mean,
it could, you know, in a sense, it might correct itself a little bit.
We just reported recently the old Hub Studio is now becoming apartments. Is that project specifically to address what you're talking about here?
Yeah, I mean, initially when Jesse Biter, who owns that property, when he was talking about, you know, creating that development, it was to address a need to create and not necessarily affordable housing, but attainable housing. And you know, there is a difference in those terms. Attainable being that it might be a higher price point, but it could be more realistic for a younger professional to be able to obtain the housing.
So, Jamie, when you are with your young professionals group, what is the center of discussion there?
It really comes back to attainable housing and jobs. You can't really talk about one without the other. A few years ago, we did an attainable housing survey to just gauge young professionals in the area, what they could pay, what they expected, the amenities that would come with that price point, and none of it was really unrealistic. But when you look at the cost of housing here and the lack of job opportunities here, one of them has to give if we want to, you know, create a space for young people to thrive. We
only have a minute left in this section, but Sarasota Magazine's article, when it looks at in terms of young people 20 to 34, whether they're coming into the area or leaving, really the change over the last few years is very slight. 12.4% in 2009, 12.6% in 12-15. So it's not like we're seeing a major exodus.
No, and I think that's the big misconception is that there's this flood of people leaving. Like our internal numbers show a lot of people actually very excited to stay here. And that's what spurred some of the controversy a couple months ago with articles about a millennial leaving versus a millennial staying. And that conversation is still taking shape and will take shape over the next few years as this stuff evolves. But
right, it's a perception.
It's a huge perception.
We are obviously just getting started with this conversation and ways of keeping graduates living here on the Suncoast. It continues right after we check on our weather. Stay with us.
This is an important medical announcement. Bard IVC filters have been linked to punctured veins and problems with migration. Anyone who's received a Bard IVC filter must receive medical monitoring and may be entitled to substantial compensation. If you have the Bard Recovery G2 or G2 Express filter, you are in a class of patients who should be compensated for some expenses. Call now for a free assessment of your case and potential money damages. This call is confidential. There's no cost and you may be eligible. Juries have awarded millions of dollars to people who should have been warned about the risks of the Bard IVC filters. Call the IVC Filter Hotline if you or a loved one has received an IVC filter and experienced a vein puncture or required medical monitoring. You must call now.
Call 800-329-3089. 800-329-3089.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to save a life? Find out by donating platelets at Suncoast Blood Bank.
I'm Haley Wilgus, ABC7. Platelets aid in the clotting process and are vital in the treatment of cancer and surgical patients, trauma victims, and critically ill newborns. It's tough to keep enough on the shelves because they only last 5 days. To donate, call this number or visit scbb.org and you can help save a life.
ABC7 congratulates Suncoast Blood Bank on 65 years of serving our community.
What's a nice Jewish girl to do when she can't introduce her WASP boyfriend to her conservative parents? Hire an actor. Hilarious and insightful, Bo Jest is at the Players Center June 14th through the 25th, and it's your ticket to a sizzling summer. Call the Players at 365-2494 or visit theplayers.org. Don't miss Bo Jest.
How long have we been married, dear?
For 76 years.
He was kind and generous to me before we married, and he was kind and generous to me all these years. We decided on Meals on Wheels because I was getting to the point where I couldn't do all the things that I had been able to do. We're the Spans. America, let's do lunch.
Drop off a hot meal and say hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
Our discussion of ways to keep young talent here on the Suncoast continues in a moment, but right now let's get a check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Just had a great photo sent to me, Alan, from a gentleman who works at a golf course in Sarasota, right there by Venice. This is what happens when lightning hits the ground right there on the fairway. You can see how it spreads out in that dendritic fashion from the center of the lightning bolt. The lightning can reach up to 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And if this were to hit sand, it can actually cause the sand to turn into glass. That's how hot it can get. And you'll notice the spread of that is about 10 to, looks like 15 feet away from the center. So it can spread on the ground, even though you may not get a direct hit there. That by Brian LeBlanc. Just sent that in via social media, Facebook, to meteorologist Bob Harrigan's Facebook page, mine. Fire danger scale, I showed you this earlier. Look at these numbers. We went from the driest place in the entire state to the wettest now. And so we talked about the burn bans expiring or canceling them. Well, you can see the numbers. In fact, Charlotte County still has it. It's at 4, the lowest number of all of our counties currently. And it looks like these numbers are only going to go lower as we're expecting more rainfall in the upcoming days. And not only that, the drought status, which was at one point in the extreme to severe level for our entire viewing area, is now down to the moderate to abnormally dry. So that too is going away, and I suspect all this will be done by this time next week. We won't be under any kind of drought as a result of the heavy rainfall that we could see early next week as a result of a tropical system out there. It's been a nice day in the morning and then a few clouds and a few showers moving through in the afternoon near the coast, but the heaviest rain by far has been into Tampa and Pinellas County right now, where some strong cells are moving in. A little bit of a change. We've had this west to southwesterly wind today, which usually favors inland storms, but a lot of collisions with the outflow boundaries. That's from the heavy rainfall that has fallen from the inland storms. Well, they create these little miniature cold fronts, and one moved right through the Tampa Bay area just within the last hour. You'll notice just light rainfall around here in Manatee County. Expect a few brief light showers possible, but this is where the heaviest rainfall is. St. Petersburg right there. We have MacDill Air Force Base getting some lightning, and as far as the advisories go, these are flood advisories. In effect, tough driving conditions in some of the roadways there are getting covered up with water as a result of the excessive rain. We're watching this area right here for the possibility of tropical development. Has a 50% chance developing into the next tropical low, possibly tropical storm, and gets into the Gulf of Mexico early next week. We'll have to watch it very closely here along the west coast of Florida. Right now, it looks like it could bring some very heavy rainfall. That would be about it. For boaters, winds out of the south to southwest at 5 to 10 knots. Seas will run 2 feet or less, and a light chop in the bays and inland waters. The extended forecast calling for a 40% chance for scattered storms through Saturday. Better chances next week as more tropical moisture moves our way. Alan will have much more coming up after this. Stick around.
Save big during the summer leather clearance and pay no interest till June 2018 with same-day pickup or next-day delivery. This special purchase deep-seating leather match sofa now $5.99. It's like floating on a cloud with this leather match sofa at $6.99. Or put your feet up in style with comfort in this dual reclining leather match sofa only $7.99. Exclusively at the Furniture Warehouse in Sarasota, Bradenton, Venice, Port Charlotte, and Ellenton.
And save big.
I'm calling in regards about my mother, and I'm here, and I just want to thank you because it saved my mother's life yesterday. And I'd like to know the names of the people that came in and saved her. It's a wonderful thing. Thank you.
With Life Alert, one touch of a button can get you help fast.
For a free Life Alert brochure, call 1-800-990-3613. That's 1-800-990-3613. Call now, 1-800-990-3613.
For the last 18 years, Samantha's Friends has been assisting people along the Suncoast who have been challenged by catastrophic illnesses or affected by autism obtain a service canine. We need your help. Please show your support by attending our annual Celebrity Gala brunch and fundraiser. Call Sammy Lee at 941-448-8558 for more information.
They're coming from Tampa, Fort Myers, even Orlando. They're coming from everywhere for the Sarasota Ford Promise. Our promise means a new car you'll love. If not, return it for one you do. At Sarasota Ford, we promise live market pricing. We monitor national pricing on our entire inventory, so you get the best deal. In fact, we guarantee it. Bring us any competitor's ad, and we'll beat it by at least $1,000. That's why they're coming from everywhere to Sarasota Ford, where 41 meets 301. SarasotaFord.com.
Thanks to my volunteer, I am a better reader.
Thanks to my volunteer, math seems simple now.
Thanks to my volunteer, I discovered new career goals.
I'm a volunteer for Sarasota County Schools, so I know I can make a difference. And you can too. Give an hour, change a life.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we are discussing the factors keeping young professionals on the Suncoast and the ones driving them to leave. Our guests tonight are Lucas Calavaccio of the Hub Studios, Jamie Minton of the Young Professionals Group and Girls Inc., and Raymar Tirado of Sarasota Underground. I'm going to bring up something that you're all going to get angry at. And that was a story that was written in the Herald Tribune by their former reporter Shelby Webb, who is why millennials, including me, are leaving Sarasota. Mm-hmm. I know that your point's going to be that she left for a better job in Houston, but she did make a point that there is a lack of downtown nightlife for young people here in Sarasota, or the kinds of businesses they want to frequent. She raised the issue of the taco bus debacle, which did not come into Sarasota. Why do you all think this was an unfair critique?
Well, I mean, from my perspective, it got under my skin. I mean, partly because I did come to Sarasota and I fall in love with the city, and for me it works, right? And I understand that it doesn't work for everybody, but it was painted with some fairly broad strokes, and I thought long and hard about it and realized, well, wait a minute, this girl, she grew up here. This is her home, and I think about my hometown, and I kind of wanted to get out. I was familiar, there was nothing new, there was nothing exciting, there was nothing more to be experienced. And so that piece just kind of felt was a little bit unfair.
And Raymar, you actually wrote the response to this story.
Yeah, it's funny because the first time I read her article, my natural instinct was, go Shelby, somebody needs to take the gloves off and actually let Sarasota know what's going on. But the more and more I started thinking about it, and the more and more I started thinking about the things that we're working on and what's actually going on here, and then you start looking at the voter turnout and the actual involvement of the young people, and you start to understand that the reason people are leaving and we don't have the climate that we want, the entertainment, the nightlife, the density, is because we're not involved, right? We don't show up to vote, we don't get active in the civic organizations. When you go to those meetings, they're overwhelmingly 50, 60, 70-year-olds running those meetings. And so I think she unwittingly validated that stereotype, that misconception that we're trying to get rid of, when in reality there's a lot taking place, and what we need is more people coming and glomming onto that and saying, hey, where can we plug in? How can we change this?
So Jamie, what are people like yourself doing about that?
Yeah, so, well, when I first read Shelby's article, I was like, I get it. I grew up here, I left, I knew if I wanted an education and experience, it wasn't going to be in Sarasota. But I did always have the intention of coming back because I, at heart, knew that this is where my home was. And then I read Reimar's article, and it was like, at first, I was like, okay.
Well, you have so many different Sarasotas, but one of the Sarasotas is this fairly affluent community, very affluent community with the opera and the ballet and all the great things that people who retire here enjoy. And those are the people who are in charge of the city. They make the campaign contributions, and they approve what it comes in and what doesn't come in.
Nobody's asking them to give that up, right? Like, we're not saying, hey, let's kick you out of Sarasota, right? Like, we want to understand that this is not just your Sarasota. We need them to understand that this is not just your Sarasota, right? And so they need to make allowances, and we need to create areas where we can do that. We need to create places where you can build and foster some of that vibrant nightlife and more density, right? They tried it in the Rosemary. But again, all those units are coming on and they're not affordable. None of the developers were held to density standards. And you have a lack of leadership, I think, from a city level over the last 10 years that has really created a lot of this.
Well, I think that there's a misconception, or a lot of misconceptions when it comes to that, because I don't think there's a space big enough for young professionals, but I don't think people are making that space because they don't know what we want.
Sorry, I have to jump in here because I'm affiliated with the Hub, and that was one of the points that I thought, that Shelby missed in her article, was that had she come down to the Hub and spent time under our roof for a half hour, she would have discovered 200 people, 75% of which are under the age of 40, who are building businesses, creating ideas, and trying to make a difference in the community and build, create opportunities. And I mean, yeah, so it's 200 people. It's not 20,000 people in Houston, but it is happening here. There are these pockets. Brymar's doing the same thing.
So where do you go at night, and what do you do?
You do have what's on Main Street, right? And you have what's out on Siesta Key. But there's also a variety of events. I mean, I have 2 millennials who work for me. They go to the opera, they go to the Oslo, they go to the symphony. They love them, they talk about them, and these are 2 hip, happening people.
And there's other events too, right? Like there's unique events that that different organizations are throwing all around town. The live music scene is picking back up at a number where it can, right? It's finding places to sort of grow and thrive, and it's incumbent on us to foster those, right?
Jamie, there are 2 issues here. There are, how do you attract millennials from outside the Suncoast to come here and apply for jobs and start their own jobs and create a life here? But the other issue is, how do you retain young people like yourself who grew up here and to stay and build businesses and build lives here?
So you have to put effort into it. Just like everything else, what you put in is what you get back. And so being involved with the Young Professional Group is, to me, my real connection to Sarasota. That's where my friends came from. That is where a lot of my work connections come from. And so by joining groups that are actively trying to promote the growth and the vibrancy of Sarasota, you're naturally going to fall into place and find out what those things are. And I think if you're living in Sarasota because you want to be here, you're not really looking for that nightlife, that city life. And if we do want that for a night, we go to Tampa. We don't need to bring that here. It's
that passive versus active, seeker versus expectations mentality, right? And that's a real symptom of the problem with the millennials, is this idea that the nightlife's just supposed to be there, the things are just supposed to happen, when in reality we're at the point where we have to make them happen if you expect that to happen. In 10 years it could be the case where they're just here.
Well, what's going on to bring that about? I mean, we're talking about the industries and the jobs that are available. Is there anybody who is working hard to bring that kind of nightlife here?
Well, it's not necessarily just about the nightlife. It's, first of all, you have to create the jobs, and you have to create the demand, and you have to create the environment, and then the nightlife and the restaurants and everything will come, because you'll have that demand.
Look at the restaurant scene is exploding right now anyway. We're in the midst of a boom as far as that goes. So these things are starting to happen. I just think, we keep having this sort of same conversation. Millennials are leaving, millennials are leaving.
We're 5 to 10 years out from seeing the real change here, honestly.
Is there a cohesive effort amongst millennials, young people, to get together with those who run the city government and the county government to say, hey, listen, we need to come up with a master plan how to retain our best and brightest and attract more to come into the city?
That's the reason we exist.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason we started the organization. That's the reason we're actively working with other organizations. Like, we're very friendly with the Hub, we're very friendly with Bold, we're very friendly with the Young Professionals, the Chamber, the Gulf Coast, everybody that's in the community that's trying to do this stuff. You just got to coalesce that, and there's enough movement.
What kind of response do you get?
A great response.
It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Through YPG, one of the things we're actively trying to do right now is find that space within city and county government. So we've been talking with Tom Barwin. We are doing regular civics happy hours through YPG just to, if they won't come to us, we'll come to them, and we'll invite them to where we are, and we want to know what's going on. We want to know how we can plug in. So we are going to start to share open positions on advisory boards, open positions within the city government, and really starting at the basics. What do you do? What do you have control over? What don't you have control over? And how can we weigh in?
Another thing we have to do is apply pressure to make sure that the proper candidates that actually represent us have a chance to run, because that's a big issue of why we're not involved.
Right, we have to take a quick break, but when we return, we'll have final thoughts from our guests, plus what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, the effectiveness of dietary supplements. Stay with us.
Hi, I'm Joan London with A Place for Mom. Over the years, we've helped thousands of families find senior care, and today's senior living communities have never been better, with amazing amenities like movie theaters, exercise rooms and swimming pools, public cafes, bars and bistros, even pet care services. And nobody understands your options like the advisors at A Place for Mom. These are local expert advisors that will partner with you to find the perfect place and determine the right level of care, whether that's just a helping hand or full-time memory care. Best of all, it's a free service. Call today. A Place for Mom. You know your family, we know senior living. Together, we'll make the right choice.
Call A Place for Mom right now to get our free ebook on financing senior care, as well as a free referral for senior living communities in your area. Call 1-800-290-0352. That's 1-800-290-0352.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com, your guide to the foodie lifestyle. ABC7's own Chef Judy serves up her favorite recipes, cooking tips and trends, dining blogs, step-by-step videos, and Suncoast Restaurant Guide. You'll find it all at mysuncoast.com/dining.
For years, I told everyone my Craftmatic adjustable bed was the greatest until I got the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has an adjustable pillow feature that's awesome. You're gonna want one too when you see how little they cost.
If you've ever had a bad night's sleep, call and price the new Craftmatic Legacy. It has so much more than other adjustables and still costs up to 50% less. Featuring a rising adjustable pillow rest, bedside power plugs, underbed night lights, and more. Available in all mattress types with optional heat and soothing massage for as much as half the price of Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Enjoy temporary relief of low back pain, nighttime heartburn, mild arthritis. Adjust the rising pillow feature to help align your head, neck, and shoulders. See for yourself with our 30-day in-home trial. So call and price one today for less, up to 50% less.
You get so much more and it still costs less. You gotta see how little they cost.
Call 1-800-237-0214. That's 1-800-237-0214. Call 1-800-237-0214. Call now.
Welcome back. The Suncoast can be a phenomenal home for young entrepreneurs. You may have, your many recent graduates intend to leave the area. What more can be and should be done to retain young talent? Our guests join us right now for final thoughts. And Lucas, you wanted to say something about the issue I brought up in terms of what is the master plan?
Well, I think that you have all these stakeholders, right? You've got tourism, you've got hospitality, entrepreneurship, tech. I mean, you have so many different players in this community who are good, solid organizations, but there's no, like, you know, we talk about Bayfront 2020, right? They're trying to work on a cohesive plan for a chunk of land. We don't have a cohesive working sort of group that of all these elements coming together to counter this perception that these millennials are leaving. We got to show these examples and get that message out there.
I have to disagree there because we do, but just not mainstream yet. Right, because you guys are doing it,
right,
RPG is doing it, we're doing it.
But I'm thinking about what about the traditional organization?
So that becomes our responsibility to bring them into that conversation and to create a structure where that can happen.
And I wanted to ask one more question, and that was, Jamie, you talked about how you receive when you try to talk to, whether it's city commissioners or county commissioners, about how you go about this. And my question would be, are there differences, or are some of these office holders more receptive and many more, or some of them less receptive?
Yeah, without a doubt. We live in a place where a lot of entrenched power has the decision-making capacity. They have the voter base, and they have the representatives in office to execute on that desire, right, on those desires, which goes back to my initial comment of saying we have to get the right people to run to be able to stand up to some of that, and then we have to support them. So it is a multifaceted approach, but we made progress, right? We removed some of those impediments in March.
Want to name names?
Yeah, it's not a secret that Susan Chapman was she's very slow growth mentality, didn't like a lot of the music or development that was happening. And there's a core group of residents that think downtown is a residential neighborhood, and at a certain level it is, but it's also other things. And it can't just be the one thing.
It's a downtown.
And Jamie, as Raymar said, one of the answers here is if young people feel strongly about this, run for office.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of young people talk about it, but it's where to start. We're also just starting out in our careers. We're starting families, figuring things out for ourselves. But, you know, if you look at the voting statistics, we know we have to show up more.
Hagen Brody just got elected. He's a young
exactly.
guy.
I was just going to say that.
But
Hagen
now
just
you
got
also know what you need to work on.
Oh,
So
yeah. We know the problems. It's just getting the people together to solve them.
All right. Before we go, we want to share with you what some of our viewers are saying about last night's topic, dietary supplements. Nearly 2/3 of American adults use them in one form or another, but some medical experts are not convinced about their ability to affect a person's health. Supplements don't undergo the same stringent FDA testing as other drugs, and we asked you what you thought about them. Lenny Long writes, high-grade probiotics work. Quality provider is key. You get what you pay for. Don't cheap out on vitamins. Jan Nurse writes, depends on the brand and how they are made. Always check to see if the supplements are compatible with your medicines. Show them to your physician. And Jason Foster writes, they have a slight benefit, but the cost is way too high. They cost pennies to make and yet charge tons. Everyone wants a quick and easy answer. Well, what do you think about graduates leaving the Suncoast? Could we be doing more to keep young talent here? Join tonight's conversation by visiting our Facebook page at facebook.com/news@7. And FYI, you can watch past discussions on demand. They're available on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and Roku. Thanks to our guests for being here tonight. Lucas Calavacchio is the owner and executive producer at Hub Studios. Jamie Minton is the chair of government issues at the Young Professionals Group. She also oversees K-8 initiatives at Girls Inc. And Raymond Tirado is chief disruption officer at the online publication Sarasota Underground. When we return, we'll have a final look at your weather, plus shock at the U.S. Open when a blimp crashes in front of a crowd of spectators. We'll have the details in our primetime headlines.
I dream of the creature by night and by day. Wielding my weapon, I slaughter my prey. 2,000 cash, I'll be rolling in dough. So hey, a big monster, come out from below. So hey, a big monster, come out from below.
Credit card debt can ruin your life. If you owe $10,000 and minimum payments are siphoning away your paycheck each month, you can get debt-free in less time than you think.
I've paid $800 a month for the past 3 years and haven't changed the balance on my credit card.
Get debt-free now has a program to reduce your debt, stop the harassing phone calls, avoid financial ruin, and settle for less than you owe.
I feel like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
You're pre-approved for our special hardship program if you owe $10,000 or more. Upon payment of your new lower balance, your debt will finally shrink until you are debt-free.
My family no longer has 30 years of payments ahead of us at 20% interest.
There's no fees until you see results. So call now, make one monthly program payment, and free up your cash. Resolve your debt.
Call 800-685-6422, 800-685-6422.
All hands on deck. What's up? I want to point out 3 tips for using the home computer more safely. Point away.
First, stop. Make sure your software is up to date and that you've password protected your computer's login and Wi-Fi connection.
Next, think before visiting a site, opening attachments, or clicking on links.
Then connect, knowing you're helping make the web safer for you
and for everyone. Make Stop, Think, Connect part of your daily online routine.
Your primetime headlines are coming up in a moment, but right now let's get the final check on our forecast from Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Alan, right now, big rain over Hillsborough and Pinellas County. Some flood advisories going on there. For us, high pressure had been set up just east of the state, and that's been giving us that east to southeasterly wind flow, which has really brought the storms back toward the coast late in the day. But this high pressure ridge is getting bumped now down to the south a little bit more, and that's allowing us to see more of a westerly to southwesterly component right on into the coast, and that favors inland storms, and that's what we saw today. Although the coast is still getting some, not nearly as much as we saw last week and for the past couple of days. Now, you can see that rain heavy at times near right there near MacDill Air Force Base and also into St. Petersburg, where flood advisory continues there. Just some light rain in the Manatee County near Palmetto, just to the west there of Palmetto, and to the east of Parrish and down south into South Florida, some bigger storms there. Well, we have to watch the tropics. We are in June. Typically, one storm every 5 years forms in June, and this is a favorite area. So the National Hurricane Center is suggesting, and so are the forecast models, that we will see something pop up here. Pretty good chance of that happening. There are two schools of thought here. One is that it will move more toward Texas and Mexico, while others, and this is starting to trend more to the east, moving up into the eastern Gulf of Mexico and possibly toward the Panhandle as a tropical low. Could be a tropical depression, could be a tropical storm. We just have to wait and see. But either way, we are going to get a little more additional moisture in our coast, and we don't need it. It's saturated as far as the ground goes. We could use some dry days, actually. A couple of strong tropical waves coming off the coast of Africa. A little too soon for these two, but these look rather healthy, and this one in particular has a 20% chance of developing into the next tropical system down the road. 79 degrees right now. We have some clouds around. Dew point is at 70, and the pressure 30.02 inches. That's holding steady. Temperatures currently have been knocked down a little bit because of the rain cooled air. Upper 70s to low 80s. Whitney Beach now at 83. Siesta Key, you're at 78. And 82 in Venice. Port Charlotte 77. Port Charlotte has had some excessive rainfall today too. Friday's forecast, a few coastal showers are possible, but mainly inland storms late in the day. High temperatures will warm into the upper 80s to near 90 degrees. For boaters, seas running less than 2 feet. A light chop on the bays and inland waters out there, and seas will be again less than 2 feet, I think, on Saturday. A low tide upcoming just after midnight. Another one at 12:38 tomorrow afternoon. Forecast tonight, a few scattered showers, a possible storm, but more of that activity winding down. Tomorrow, variable clouds, scattered storms, mainly inland, highs into the upper 80s, and the extended forecast does call for a better chance of rain to start the work week next week. Alan will be back with primetime headlines right after this. Stick around.
Is your mop a dirty, disgusting mess? You need the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System, the only mop and bucket that spins the dirt away. A system that cleans practically anything and everything with super absorbent microfiber. Dip it in the washer side and the mess releases into the bucket. Then place it in the dryer side and push on a pedal. You get a clean mop head that's practically dry and ready for more. And your hands will never again touch a dirty, disgusting mop. The heads are washable and reusable. Get the Hurricane 360 Spin Mop System for just 2 payments of $19.99. You'll also get a Sticky Buddy, the reusable sticky roller that picks up pet hair and lint and washes clean in seconds. You can take advantage of our 2-for-1 pick it up special and get a second spin mop set. Just pay additional shipping and fee. And we'll upgrade you to free priority handling. So don't wait. Order now.
Call 1-800-394-1524 to get your Hurricane Spin Mop double offer. So hurry and call 1-800-394-1524. Call now.
I knew I could get myself out of this. I just needed some hope and some help.
I took the first step to recovery when I made the call.
Since 2014, Addiction Hope and Helpline has answered calls for recovery and treatment 24/7, 365 days a year. If you're depressed, drinking, using drugs, or taking pills, call now and talk to someone who cares.
I had problems just getting to sleep, drinking and using pills every night.
I feel like I'm losing control. I'm afraid I'll lose my job or even my family.
Most insurance covers substance abuse. You can get back on track. Call now for hope and help with proven gentle recovery programs.
I never thought that I could be somebody who didn't drink and use drugs.
I have something to hold on to for strength. I'm in recovery, getting the help I need.
Call 800-622-1941. 800-622-1941.
Now for your primetime headlines. Following an attack on members of Congress, investigators are combing over the background of the shooter. One congressman remains in critical condition tonight as others are recovering. The charity baseball game is happening tonight, and ABC's Lana Zach is there at Nationals Park.
Congressman Stephen Scalise remains in critical condition after being wounded by a lone wolf shooter at a ball field.
It's been much more difficult than people even thought at the time. It's been, he's in some trouble, but he's a great fighter.
While 26 Republican members of Congress and their staffs practiced for tonight's charity baseball game, they came under attack. Zach Barth, a congressional aide, was among the 4 people shot.
I was just a sitting duck out there.
So I made a run down the right field line, or third base line rather, and ran into the dugout, literally running for my life.
Also wounded, Capitol Police Officer Crystal Greiner, who rushed into action at the first sound of gunfire. Also, Mike Mika, a lobbyist who remains in critical condition. Investigators are trying to piece together the motives of the deceased shooter, 66-year-old James Hodgkinson, who had a history of anti-Trump and anti-Republican rhetoric. But lawmakers from both sides of the aisle are coming together for a meal today before continuing tonight's game as scheduled.
We're going to go to the game today. We're going to play our hardest to win. Each team will. And throughout the whole game, we will all be Team Scalise.
And all of this increased attention, of course, means increased security, but it also means increased ticket sales and more money being raised for charity. About $1 million at this point, twice what was raised last year. Reporting from Nationals Park in Washington, Lana Zach, ABC News.
Doctors in Cincinnati say an American college student who was imprisoned in North Korea suffered severe brain damage. Otto Warmbier's father said today he doesn't believe North Korea's explanation. His son's coma resulted from botulism and a sleeping pill. He said there was no reason for the country to keep his 22-year-old son's condition a secret and deny him top medical care. He also called his son's return bittersweet.
Relief that Otto is now home in the arms of those who love him, and anger that he was so brutally treated for so long.
The father also accused North Korea of luring Americans to the country with Chinese tour companies, making the false promise that they would never be detained. An update on the fire at a London high-rise apartment. Police confirm at least 17 people died, and the number is expected to rise. Members of the community are expressing anger over the incident, saying safety problems in the building were ignored because residents were poor. The public housing block is in a neighborhood ranked among the bottom 10% of income brackets. Prime Minister Theresa May is ordering an inquiry into what caused the fire. Scary moments for golfers and fans at the U.S. Open men's golf tournament in Wisconsin today. This is video of a blimp falling from the sky during the first round of the tournament. The U.S. Golf Association says the blimp crashed into an open field about a half-mile from the golf course. The blimp's pilot was treated at the scene for unknown injuries. Florida's chief financial officer is preparing to leave office at the end of the month, but before he goes, he is calling on lawmakers to address a controversial insurance practice. It is known as assignment of benefits. Essentially, homeowners sign over insurance benefits to contractors after incurring damage to their home. Insurers claim the practice is riddled with fraud and abuse, particularly in claims for water damage to homes. Florida's CFO Jeff Atwater says the issue is driving up property insurance costs.
The assignment of benefits, for the most part, is a design scam. We never want to harm any individual out there in getting the absolute quick and full coverage they deserve on a claim. But the majority of this right now is costing the honest Floridian tremendous pain.
During the legislative session, the House passed a bill to curb litigation and claims related to assignment of benefits. However, the Senate never took up the measure. And that's all the time we have for this evening. I'm Alan Cohn. Thanks for joining us and have a great night.